Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 4, Text 9. Abhimanyu Sutam Suta.
Abhimanyu Sutam Suta.
Rahur Bhagavatottaram.
Rahur Bhagavatottaram.
Tasya Janma Mahascharyam.
Tasya Janma Mahascharyam.
Kamani Chagvinihina.
Karmani Chagvinihina.
Translation. It is said that Maharaj Parikshit is a great devotee of the Lord and that his birth and activities are all wonderful. Please tell us about him. Purport. The birth of Maharaj Parikshit is wonderful because in the womb of his mother he was protected by the personality of Godhead Shri Krishna. His activities are also wonderful because he chastised Kali, who was attempting to kill a cow. To kill cow means to end human civilization. He wanted to protect the cow from being killed by the great representative of sin. His death is also wonderful because he got previous notice of his death, which is wonderful for any mortal being, and thus he prepared himself for passing away by sitting down on the bank of the Ganges and hearing the transcendental activities of the Lord. During all the days he heard Bhagavatam. He did not take food or drink, nor did he sleep a moment. So everything about him is wonderful, and his activities are worth hearing attentively. Desire is expressed herein to hear about him in detail. Abhimanyu Sutam Suta Prahur Bhagavatottaram Tasya Janma Mahascharyam Karmani Chagvinihina. So Abhimanyu Sutta, this is a very important expression. Abhimanyu was a very, very great personality. Very special personality. He's the son of Arjuna by Uttara. And this boy, he was a mere boy, Abhimanyu, 16 years old. And he was fighting on the battle of Kurukshetra. He died on that battlefield. But before he died, he was destroying enemy forces left and right and right and left. In fact, they couldn't stop him by any means. They were afraid like anything of this Abhimanyu. He was cutting into their lines. He was cutting them up left and right and right and left. And the only way they could stop him was by surrounding him with 7 of their generals. Completely unfair in warfare to surround, first of all, a 16-year-old boy with 7 generals. Usually, one chariot fighter would fight with another chariot fighter. Abhimanyu was a chariot warrior. So, he was to fight with 1 at a time. But 1 at a time, he was killing everybody. 2 at a time, he was killing everybody. 4 at a time, he was killing everybody. Therefore, they were getting really afraid. He was killing 30,000 men within a half a day. Abhimanyu was such an amazing warrior. He was the son of Arjuna, so therefore he was extremely powerful. Just like even Satyaki, who was Arjuna's disciple, military disciple. He was also as powerful as Arjuna. He also cleared a path through the enemy ranks during this battle. But Abhimanyu was still a boy, and he was unfairly surrounded by 7 generals and defeated when he didn't even have a weapon in his hand. This Jayadrath took the opportunity to cause the death of Abhimanyu when he was knocked out, laying on the ground, and he was all fuzzy in his head because of the blows. And then when he got up, he wasn't even sure where he was. At that time, Jayadratha chose to kill him with the sword. So because of this very bad thing, this was a very wrong move of Jayadratha. Arjuna swore, Arjuna was his father, he swore that he would avenge the death of his son. By tomorrow, killing Jayadrath, or otherwise he would enter into fire. So there were spies, of course, in the camp of the Pandavas, and they immediately went over to the Kauravas and said, now Jayadrath is finished, because Arjuna swore he would either kill Jayadrath or he would enter into fire. So then Jayadrath immediately wanted to get on his chariot and leave and run away. Because when Arjuna said, I'm going to kill you, you're as good as dead. So he was afraid like anything. But the others, especially Karna, said, What is this? If our whole army decides to protect Jayadratha, one man, Arjuna, cannot kill him. Therefore, we will make a formation called the needle formation, where Jayadratha will be in the eye of the needle, and there will be no question whatsoever of him ever being killed by Arjuna. It just simply won't be possible. The needle formation means they arrayed their army in a huge, long line like this. And at the back there was an eye of the needle. And Jayadratha was in the middle of that. And the distance from there to there was something like 27 miles. It was a big battlefield, Kurukshetra. It wasn't just a little place. It was a big, huge battlefield. So 27 miles from here to there. Now, just to physically drive your chariot from there to there would take half a day. Just physically driving it, without worrying about the fact that people are shooting arrows at you. Or that you have to go around this and around that, and dead bodies here and elephants laying everywhere, and then, just simply straight drive on the Autobahn. 27 miles. Yeah. So the Kauravas thought for sure, no way Arjuna's going to get there. After all, they had Dronacharya at the front. He was the tip of the needle. And he was to make sure nobody got past. Yeah. So they figured for sure Arjuna was finished, because nobody's going to get past Dronacharya, not even Arjuna. And anyway, he can't get past everybody else. So they thought. So they went into battle very confidently. And Arjuna, he was a little bit worried. Am I actually going to do this or not? After all, when he saw this formation, he realized Jayadratha was way down on the other end. They knew it was going to happen. So then he had to get through. So immediately he went by, and there was Dronacharya telling him, okay, now we're going to fight. Arjuna shot a couple arrows at him, just to keep him honest, and then said, sorry, I've got no time for you today. And just zoomed right by. I went straight on his way. Whoever he met, he just slaughtered immediately. He didn't bother with any sport. It was just immediate, no holds barred, just all business. You get in my way, I kill you. That's all, finished. And he just started tearing through the whole battle like this, just roaring through. Yeah. Now the Kauravas were becoming hysterical, because this Arjuna was just going through like a lawnmower cutting grass. And he was on his way, all the way down to Jayadratha. So therefore they were putting up enormous and intense obstacles. Karna put up the most intense obstacle just before Arjuna got to Jayadratha. And he kept him busy, because there were so many troubles, so many elephants were there, and so many troubles. And Satyaki was following right behind. Yeah. Satyaki also, because he was as powerful as Arjuna, he also slipped by Dronacharya, straight by him, and went tearing down. Then Bhima noticed that also here was Arjuna and Satyaki just going alone down there. They had no helpers. They were just alone. One man fighting against millions. But this one man was Arjuna, and he had Krishna as a chariot driver. So he was worth millions. So then Bhima met Dronacharya. Dronacharya told him, stay, let us do some battle here. He said, I have let your brother go by, but I shall not let you go by. And then Bhima said, oh, worst of the Brahmanas. My brother Arjuna got by because he wanted to get by. Nobody can stop him, not even yourself. And so then Bhima just went by. So In this way, there was a whole stream trying to chase after Arjuna, but nobody could keep up with him. And he was just so far ahead. The problem came that Karna, he made some... You see, Karna was actually the older brother of Arjuna, older brother of Yudhisthira. In the beginning, Queen Kunti, she first had one son from the sun god, and he was Karna. But because of fear, she dropped him in a basket and let him float down a river. He was later picked up by a carpenter and his wife. And he was growing up as a Sudra. But factually, when Duryodhana saw his great prowess at the bow and arrow, which was uncomparable, he accepted him as a Kshatriya and made him a king in a kingdom. So, this Duryodhana, because he was so envious of the Pandavas, he put that envy on Karna, and Karna became also envious as the friend of Duryodhana. So, when this battle was about to begin, Queen Kunti revealed to Karna for the first time that actually he was her son. And the sun god was standing right behind her, confirming that this was so. But Karna said, I don't even care. If you're supposed to be my mother, where were you when I was a boy, needing help? Where were you throughout all my life? And now, just to save the other sons of yours, you want me to stop fighting just because you're my mother? No way. He said, I will kill them anyway. But then she begged for a benediction, and he said, all right, although I will capture each one of your sons, I will not kill them. But Arjuna, I shall kill. So this was her arrangement. This was his arrangement. But Arjuna he couldn't kill, because Krishna was his chariot driver. But in any case, at this point, there was a heavy confrontation. And Karna, he, of course, had to lose his life due to a curse. He had been cursed by his spiritual master, his of course, of Dhanurveda, weaponry, Parashuram, because he had accepted him. So Parashuram would only accept Brahmanas. He would not accept Kshatriyas. But Karna was pretending like he was a Brahmana. But one day it was seen by Parashuram that he wasn't a Brahmana, because he was holding Parashuram on his leg, his head, when he was taking a nap, but some bug was coming in and biting him very deeply. And he didn't move, not at all. And when Parashuram saw the leg was bleeding, when he woke up, he said, what is this? Some bug was chewing you? And he said, yes, I didn't want to disturb you. He said, but then you cannot be a Brahmana, because no Brahmana could have tolerated that pain. Brahmana would have said, ow, ow, ow. Brahmanas are not great tolerators of pain. Only a Kshatriya could have done it, so therefore he cursed him. That when you need your powers most, they will fail you. And then another time, Karna accidentally, when hunting in the forest, he accidentally killed a cow by mistake. And again he was cursed. Anyway, he would lose everything in a very important moment in time. So, during this battle, Karna's chariot got stuck in the mud. His wheel got stuck in the mud. So the custom was, when the wheel was getting stuck, the charioteer and the warrior were allowed to get down from the chariot, pick up the wheel, fix it, and then go back fighting, and no one should kill him during this time. But during that time, Krishna told Arjuna, now he's stuck. Now it is his karma to die, so chop off his head. Then Karna said, wait a minute, this isn't fair. This is not according to the principles of Kshatriya. And so then Krishna said, oh, you rascal, where were the principles, religious principles you're now quoting, when you were stripping naked Draupadi in the public assembly? Where were your principles of religiosity when you were trying to kill the Pandavas in different ways? You are just a hypocrite and a rascal. Therefore you are to be killed immediately. And so Krishna told Arjuna, kill him now. And that was the end of Karna. So then he was on his way, but the sun was going down. To see, the thing was, he had to kill him before the sun was going to go down. And it was going down, and it was also getting more difficult to get to Jayadratha, because he was becoming more and more clever, knowing that the time was short. So Krishna, he made a trick. He covered the sun so that it would look as if it went down. He made it just by mystic potency go down. So then everybody thought the sun went down. So then Jayadratha thought, oh, I'm safe now. Now Arjuna will have to enter the fire. Everything's fine. They thought the battle is finished. There's no more problem. So then when Jayadratha was looking the other way to glorify himself, how wonderful he was, now the sun had gone down, Arjuna cut off his head with an arrow. So then everybody said, what is this? What is this? This is unfair. The sun has gone down. You said you would kill him by sundown, otherwise you would have to enter the fire. You rascal, you nonsense. Then Krishna made the sun go back up again. So there was the sun in the sky again. And everybody was amazed. And they knew there was no way you can defeat Krishna. Krishna and Arjuna. Of course there are more stories. I mean, even just where the head had to go, that's another story. Had to land on the lap of his father, so that his own father's... Anyway, it's a whole story. I could go on for hours, just whole Mahabharata. Anyway, so the point was... What was the point anyway? Abhimanyu, how did we get all the way here? How did we get from Abhimanyu to Arjuna to...
How he was great personality and killing everybody, and then he was killed by unfair.
Oh, that's why he was killed by Jayadratha, therefore Arjuna had... Mahabharata, you get all entangled. Anyway, right. So, Abhimanyu was very, very powerful personality. So, of all of the descendants of the Pandu dynasty, only Maharaj Parikshit was the descendant. But he was still in the womb of his mother, Uttara, when his father was killed on that battlefield. He was just a small baby in the womb, just before birth. So Ashvatthama, rascal number one in all of history, decided he was going to throw a Brahmastra at that baby in the womb to finish off the last descendant of the Pandavas. To try to finish off the dynasty like that. So, Maharaj Parikshit was saved by Krishna, who entered into the womb swinging a club. He had very copper red eyes. And he was swinging a club, and he repelled the force of this Brahmastra. So the Brahmastra would not harm Maharaj Parikshit. And in this way, Maharaj Parikshit was saved from his very birth. Of course, it's also described that Maharaj Parikshit was burnt, and that Krishna restored him in his actual unharmed form. In any case, Krishna helped Maharaj Parikshit and saved him from the very beginning. Therefore, Maharaj Parikshit, he was great because, first of all, he's the grandson of Arjuna. He's the son of Abhimanyu. Therefore, he had the most amazing forefathers in history. He was the most powerful personality, born directly in this line. His grandfather was Arjuna. So, Maharaj Parikshit, by his birth, was a wonderful, wonderful personality. And more so, from his birth he had been saved by Krishna. Actually, Parikshit means seeker. That's what it means in Sanskrit. Because he had seen the Super Soul doing that, saving him with the club at that moment when he was to be killed. He saw it happening. And therefore later on he was always looking. Again, when he was a small child, he was always looking at everybody to see if they were the same person who saved him in the womb. He was always looking like this as a small child. Are you the one I saw in the womb? Are you the one I saw? So great is Maharaj Parikshit. So he was trained up by Maharaj Yudhisthira and of course his father Arjuna to be a great warrior. Very great personality, very powerful, strong. He became a very great king. And when Maharaj Yudhisthira and the other Pandavas saw that Krishna left the planet, this was some 36 years after the battle of Kurukshetra, that Krishna left the planet. So at that time, did I tell you exact date? 3037 BC was the date of the Kurukshetra. No, was the date of the beginning of Kali Yuga. So 3037 BC, before Christ, was the time when Maharaj Yudhisthira and his brothers started walking to the northern side of the Himalayan mountains just to give up their bodies because Krishna was no longer there on the planet. So they thought, what is the use of remaining on this planet? And at that time their kingdom had unbridled opulences. They controlled the whole world. There was nobody they didn't control. Everybody was controlled by them. So powerful were they. And although Kali Yuga had started, they could have stopped it. But they didn't want to because Krishna wasn't there. And because they're the eternal servants and associates of Krishna, they left the planet to go to that place where Krishna was to appear in the next universe. Because Krishna, he appears from universe to universe to universe, showing his pastimes once in each day of Brahma. So we can surmise that once he goes around all the universes once in a day of Brahma. And then he goes the next day of Brahma, again starts at that first universe and goes all the way through, appearing in each universe in regular scheduled time. So Maharaj Yudhisthira, he left, he renounced like that. So that was a very good example, how when the time was appropriate, you get up, leave your family life, and go to the places for self-realization. So Maharaj Yudhisthira went like that. So this was his tradition, family tradition. So when Maharaj Parikshit, took over the kingdom, he was already well trained, very powerful in the spiritual sciences. Well trained, very powerful, very strong, very learned. He also had his son Janamejai, who he was training how to also take over the kingdom. So Maharaj Parikshit was wonderful, not only in his birth, but in his activities. It is not that he just stood on his merits as being a great descendant of great forefathers. No, he also showed it. There were no enemies in his kingdom. Nobody could be his enemy, because nobody would dare fight with him. He was more powerful than anybody. He was finishing off everybody if they tried to get in his way, because he was actually the emperor of the world, and that meant strength. He had to maintain the peace of the world by making sure everybody was subservient to him. So in this way, he very powerfully controlled all of the, shall we say, Kshatriyas who were generally out of control. Therefore, he kept them all under his control. And Kali appeared, personified Kali, personality of sinfulness, appeared in the kingdom of Maharaj Parikshit. He appeared dressed like a king. He was a black man of the lowest class, and he appeared dressed like a king. But he was a big Sudra, number one. And he was attempting to kill a cow and a bull by beating them. Actually, he was beating them on the legs with a club and destroying all the legs of religiosity. Yeah. And Dharma the bull, he was standing only on one leg, truthfulness. Yeah. All austerity, mercy, and cleanliness had been killed before as the ages progressed, and the only leg left was truthfulness. And this Kali was beating on that leg to completely cripple Dharma the bull. Religiosity. And he wanted to kill a cow. He was beating her with a club. So, Maharaj Parikshit was on a tour of the world just to go and see if his kingdom was going all right or not. Because you have to get out and see the way things are in order to know if it's okay or not. And when you go to a place, then you can understand what is to be done. So, Maharaj Parikshit was out on this tour, and he saw this happening right before his eyes. He saw this personality doing like that. He immediately jumped off his horse with his sword raised and was about to chop off his head. There wasn't even a question how to deal with this rascal. He saw, he's a Sudra dressed like a king. you can only dress like a king if you're a king. And if you're a king, you're ready to fight. So he just got out and was ready to chop off his head. And if he was a real king, let's see him stop him. And if he wasn't a real king, then he had no right to do like this. In any way, trying to harm a cow in the kingdom of Maharaj Parikshit was unheard of. Therefore, he was to die now. So just as he was about to chop his head, Kali, because he knows well how to cheat, how to lie, how to be diplomatic, and how to utilize the religious principles for his sinful activities. So Kali immediately bowed down before Maharaj Parikshit and spoke all kinds of sweet words of surrender so that Maharaj Parikshit would not harm him. Because the Kshatriya principle was, if somebody surrenders to you, you cannot harm him. You have to give him shelter. So Kali, using that principle, cheated his way into surviving. And Maharaj Parikshit said, all right, you very cleverly managed to save your life. Like a real Sudra would. No Kshatriya would do such a thing. But you give up this cloth immediately, get out of this place, and you may not go anywhere in my kingdom. And Kali said, but this is a problem since everywhere is your kingdom. I will have nowhere to go. Which wasn't a bad idea. But then Maharaj Parikshit, because he had to give him somewhere, said, okay, you can go anywhere where there's hoarding of gold. That place you can go. Because this wealth brings all sinful activities, one after another. So Kali, he left. He didn't have any place to go at that moment. But a little while later on, this whole business of gaining money by all kinds of cheating means became very prominent. And at that time, Kali entered there. Kali entered into the money. Wherever people were too much lusty after money and were doing all kinds of cheating arrangements to get it, like they do nowadays with all this paper. They just simply manipulate the paper and they make money. And they cheat others in this way. So that place Kali is. And Kali is very powerfully manifesting like that. So in this way Kali entered into the Kali Yuga and started causing havoc in the world. But so long Maharaj Parikshit was there was no Kali Yuga. He kept Kali controlled. Similarly, when his son Maharaj Janamejaya was there, Kali Yuga also could not enter, because Maharaj Janamejaya was equally powerful as his father, had been trained up. So Maharaj Parikshit was extraordinary in activities as well. And his death was also extraordinary, for he knew exactly when he was going to die. He had the benediction that of course it was a curse. He got cursed, you would die in 7 days. But that's also a benediction, because he knew exactly how long he had to live. If I tell you you're going to die in 7 days, you may think, oh, how terrible. I'm going to die in 7 days. But factually, that means you know you have 7 days to live. Because who says you can't die tomorrow? Or in 5 minutes? If one says, oh, I'm going to die in 7 days, he's an illusion. Because you could die tomorrow. And you don't even have 7 days. So Maharaj Parikshit was lucky. He knew he had 7 days. So then, he spent those 7 days just hearing, chanting, remembering Krishna through the study of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Therefore he went to the bank of the Ganges, sat himself down and asked the great sages, please speak to me about Srimad Bhagavatam. So, his death is extraordinary. Not in any way ordinary. Nothing ordinary about Maharaj Parikshit. Of course, if you compare Maharaj Parikshit to any one of us, we are as ordinary as you can get. Our birth is totally ordinary, completely mundane. Our activities are completely ordinary, and our death will also be completely ordinary. So, don't worry, that's just the way it is. But Maharaj Parikshit was extraordinary in every single one of his activities. Nothing about him was ordinary. Therefore, he's glorified in these pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. And therefore, the sages of Naimisharana wanted to know everything about Maharaj Parikshit. Great devotees of the Lord like this are very glorious because just even hearing about them brings all auspiciousness. If you just hear about such personalities, that brings great auspiciousness to the audience. One becomes very satisfied hearing about the exploits of such great persons. Therefore, the Mahabharata is a very favorite book of people because it's filled with stories about the most wonderful persons. Everybody likes biographies. Yeah. Satisfying hearing about the exploits of such great persons. Therefore, the Mahabharata is a very favorite book of people because it's filled with stories about the most wonderful persons. Everybody likes biographies. Yeah. I think so. I mean, I loved biographies when I was a boy. I always used to read this many a week. Just about this one, that one, trying to find some great personalities. Couldn't find any. But Mahabharata is filled with the exploits of so many great personalities. And Srimad Bhagavatam also has the stories of the Pandavas, how they left home. It picks up where the Mahabharata left off. And Maharaj Parikshit, how he was keeping the peace, and then how he left his body. All wonderful things. Actually, Krishna, knowing about Krishna doesn't just mean Krishna. It also means his devotees. It means together with his devotees, you can know Krishna. Therefore it is stated, Tvadiyanam Samarpanam, that you can worship Krishna better by worshipping those things which are Tvadiya, the paraphernalia of Krishna. For instance, his associates or his abode, like this. One can very nicely understand Krishna through his associates, just by, for instance, very perfectly associating with Vaishnavas. One can become fully Krishna conscious. So powerful is that association. Yeah. So, this Krishna consciousness movement is actually based on that principle. Hearing about great personalities, rendering service, just like we hear Srimad Bhagavatam. We hear Srimad Bhagavatam, the story of all kinds of wonderful personalities, different Mahajanas. And we render service every day to the spiritual master. This is stated, Nasta prayasrabhajeshu nityam bhagavata sevaya. Bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktiya bhavati naistiki. Nityam bhagavata sevaya. Two things. Nityam, always bhagavata sevaya. Hearing Srimad Bhagavatam every day and rendering service to the pure devotees. These two elements are very beneficial in spiritual life because they gradually fix one in the devotional service of the Lord. Just these two elements alone. They gradually fix one in Krishna's devotional service. And it becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Bhaktir bhavati naistiki. Just by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam and rendering service to the pure devotees. So by doing that, you become perfected. Every day. Not that one day one says, no, I don't want. Because it says nityam, always, daily, as a rule. Not that one will say, no, I don't want to serve spiritual master today. Today I will serve my senses. My senses are much better masters because they give me immediate satisfaction. Whereas spiritual master, if I serve him, it's only after a long time do I get all these nice results. Therefore, better I just serve my senses, and then I will get all kinds of immediate satisfaction. So this is what the mind says, because the mind is a rascal number one. But no, nityam bhagavata sevaya. And if one does like that, then nashta prayashrabhadreshu, all of the unwanted things, this is the answer to all of the how can we questions. All of the unwanted things in the heart are destroyed to nil. Almost. Nasta prayasha avajeshu. Prayasha means almost. Yeah. Not quite everything. Because the last final hard knot is in the heart. That is this great attachment that I am the enjoyer. That final hard knot which is manifested as the unlimited sex desires of the living entity. They may become reduced almost to nil. But there's just this little hard knot, or huge hard knot, in the heart. So therefore, one has to go through gradually this process. Hearing, chanting, very quickly. All these unwanted things disappear. But then one must work very hard on this hard knot in the heart. But it is stated, this knot is just cut out by the process of devotional service of the Lord. It will be cut. Otherwise you cannot untangle this hard knot. It's not possible. It's like there are so many knots, so many expert sailors have gotten together and made big, big knots in your heart. You know, sailors are very good at making knots. So they make these double knots, triple knots, quadruple knots, knots on knots. They make knots with knots, and just, elephants are pulling the knots in different directions. Tighten, tighter, and tighter, and tighter. There's no question of opening these knots. And there's unlimited knots. And this rope is so made that when you open one knot, another knot appears. Just by the existence of the rope, it's all twisted like this. It just pull one knot open and there's another one. The whole heart is like that, full of knots. So, therefore, one cannot untangle these knots. If there are too many, it's too difficult. Nobody can figure it out. Therefore, the only way to get rid of this hard knot is you just cut it, slice it, chop it with an axe. Get it out. And this is what the process of devotional service does. More and more and more. Takes these hard knots in the heart and just chops them and chops them and chops them and chops them until those knots are gone. So this will take a little while. Not all that long. One lifetime, what's this? This is nothing. Short time. Just a couple of years. After all, billions of years we've been in the material world. A couple of seconds, not even moments, of engaging in devotional service is sufficient to get us back home, back to Godhead. Lavamacha sadhu sangha sarva siddhi hoy. Even just a couple of moments of association with a pure devotee is sufficient to bring us to the point of liberation or perfection. Therefore, it is recommended that one just engage in devotional service because it is so powerful. It will destroy all of the unwanted things in the heart to nil. Little by little, more and more, gradually. So we should learn this art of devotional service so that we will always be engaged in Krishna's service, develop our pure love for Him, go back home, back to Godhead, and get ourselves freed from all of these terrible knots in the heart, which are just causing unlimited troubles for the conditioned souls. Are there any questions? Yes. Yes.
I wanted to ask you, it is stated that Nasta Prasha of others should, and that this means that almost everything is annihilated by this Bhagavata Seva, which means devotional service and hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. But then we say that there are these hard knots, and they are to be destroyed by devotional service to the Lord. But I don't understand what is the difference between devotional service to the Lord and this Bhagavata Seva.
No. Immediately these things become wiped away. But there is still something that has to take some time. So therefore you keep going on and the rest of it gets wiped away too.
By the same process.
Same process. Go ahead.
And I heard about this before I thought about this emotion, and I think that this actually means compromising with
Speculation has taken place overnight.
something.
Overnight mental speculation has entered in. The mind became active, as it always was, churning up between the ears, bubbling. Bloop, bloop, bloop. Then, in the morning, the fruit was produced. And now the fruit is being offered up to the assembled Vaishnavas at the Bhagavatam class in the form of a question. All right? Do you mind if we smash this fruit to pieces? It is not that, it is not that our responsibility is to continuously have to smash these fruits of mental speculation to pieces. It first of all makes a mess everywhere. All this gushy fruit everywhere. One should realize that it's not your responsibility to cook up these things. It's not your responsibility. It's not that you have to do it. I just wanted that to be clear, that nobody has to cook up a mental speculation. It's not like it's a duty, a regulative principle. Yes? The fruit. Back to the fruit.
Actually, I want to ask how we can accept like a mission or
Establishing proper situation for all of the people in the world starts at home. If we can't even do it amongst ourselves, then how are we going to do it for anybody else? So it is a mission. If we ourselves can't become situated properly, if we ourselves can't even understand what our real position is, then how anybody else is going to? If we all think of ourselves as great Mahabhagavata Paramahamsas who have descended from the spiritual sky to distribute books, who can't even for a second think of anything else for this mission, the mission, the mission, and then inside we're just bubbling up with all kinds of fruits of mental speculation and other nasty and unwanted things. So this is called being a pretender. So this is not very good. One should understand that we are the candidates for proper organization because we are also not very Krishna conscious. Sometimes devotees, they get into this big self-glorification. We're all transcendental. And we are just completely beyond all these things. We don't need any of these things. But for the sake of others, we will act like this. So it sounds really good, It really sounds great. It sounds shastric and all that. But the problem is that we're just as fallen as everybody else. And if you don't do this, you bloop. Which is what we've seen. People, they just bloop, go away. Proclaiming themselves Paramahamsa, the next day they're out the door. Suitcase in hand on the bus. Yeah. So it is not that one should be afraid of saying that we're not very advanced. We're fallen. Therefore we have to act in the best situation to give us strength. So therefore we engage in these activities according to our nature for the sake of saving ourselves. And then we can save others too. And if we can't save ourselves, then we can't save others. So what's the use of going around and preaching big, big words if you can't even save yourself? I know it's a great shock to all of us who are waking up in the morning and as we brush our teeth, look in the mirror and say, "Oh, aren't you great? You are just the greatest." I know this is terrible for us who think like that. And every minute of the day we walk around and and if anybody else dares to suggest that perhaps we're not the greatest, then immediately anybody just even dares to breathe a word that we're not the greatest. Ha! Indeed! How can you say like this? You fool! You don't know, you don't recognize my greatness! What's wrong with you? I know it's a great shock for the heart to hear maybe we're also a fool. But don't worry, that The mind won't allow those words to stay for long. Even if we can accept for a few moments that we are a fool, the mind will say, oh, come on. Get serious. You just got to think like that, to just be a little humble now and then. It's good for you, it's okay. Come on, we know where it's really at. You have to be a fool if this person's around, otherwise they get all upset. But otherwise, you've got it together. This way, the mind is the king of cheats. King of cheats. Any excuse to glorify us. Any excuse. That you can worry about. Philosophical questions.
If someone become president or king, Vaishnava king or president, what will be his first step in society?
First step?
Yes, I think.
I have no idea. Let's get to that point, then we'll worry about it. No need to speculate about such faraway things when we can't even control our senses. We can't even follow the regulative principles, and we're worrying about what we're going to do when we're in charge of the country. Incredible. This is illusion. This is mental speculation. First thing we have to do, with a couple of nice devotees in it who are engaged in preaching, I'll be completely satisfied. Don't require anything more than that. If you just have 4 good temples filled with preachers who are just giving people Krishna consciousness, everything will take place. Don't have to worry about anything. I don't even care. Can the speculations. Speculating, it's just the greatest. If we can just speculate, then we're just happy. Isn't it? Don't you become just happy speculating? Prabhu, I just thought of something far out. What if? Oh, really? I thought that too. And then, yes, and then, we'll be God! This is the fruit of mental speculation. Always ends up in the same spot. We're the controllers! We're the enjoyers! It's us! We're God! Yes! No, wait, what am I saying? We're the servants, yes! But we'll be in charge of everybody else! They'll all be our slaves! No, I mean, for Krishna! Does it ring a bell? You know that expression, ring a bell? You know that? You don't know that. The light goes on. Does it make sense? Has the light gone on up there? Let's see how many lights are off. Hey, so many lights are still off.
Kako su Krishna i Balarama napustili ovu zemlju prije 5000 godina? Kako su napustili ovu planetu zemlju?
He wants to know how Krishna and Balaram left this planet when they appeared for 5,000 years. 5,000 years ago.
Well, today's the appearance day. So you want to talk about the disappearance. Interesting. Anyway, you have to appear first in order to disappear, so I guess it's all right. Balarami took birth as the son of Rohini, the son of Vasudeva, with his queen Rohini, who also went away to Vrindavan, took shelter with Nanda Maharaj and Mother Yashoda. So when Lord Balaram, he left this planet, he did so by appearing in his form of Anantashesha. Lord Balaram, because he's from him comes Anantashesha. He is the support of Krishna in various ways. It's like Lord Nityananda. He also supported Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That's why Krishna has his arm on Lord Balaram when they stand together. Because Lord Balaram, he acts like... no, wait. It's the other way around. Anyway, cancel that. So, Lord Balaram, he acts like the support, just like when in the past times, the shoes of the Lord, the umbrella of the Lord, the sitting place of the Lord. This is all expansions of Anantashesha. This is also some of the features of Lord Balaram. So when Lord Balaram left, he appeared as Anantashesha. And then, in that way, ascended to the spiritual sky. And Krishna, he just ascended directly, along with all of his paraphernalia. Just his chariot with Duruka came and just... There was another question. Yes?
Kako možemo znati kad djeluje a kad djeluje inteligencija? Obično kad nešto pogriješimo, onda mislimo da je to na mentalnom nivou. Kako možemo znati da je razlika na mentalnom, da djelujemo na mentalnom nivou ili da djelujemo inteligencijom? Kako da znamo da poznamo djelovost inteligencije?
She wants to know how can we discriminate when we are on the mental platform and when the intelligence is acting. We are on the platform of intelligence.
Generally, you can assume you're on the mental platform and work from there. And then, later on, when one becomes more fixed up in devotional service, when he starts seeing that he's making the right decisions in Krishna consciousness, because he's just following the instructions of spiritual master and Krishna is given in the Shastra, and he's just acting in the correct way, then you can understand you're acting from the platform of intelligence. So therefore one should always in the beginning accept that he's on the mental platform and just follow instructions. And then later on, when he's got that together, and then he is directing things in a nice way, then he can understand intelligence has come to play. Mental platform means it's ultimately satisfying for your senses. Intellectual platform can also mean that if you're in Maya, but it should mean it's ultimately satisfying to Krishna. You're acting with intelligence, spiritual intelligence. All right, Hare Krishna.
The Divine Grace, Harikesa Swami, Shri Vishnu Pada Ki.